Chapter 1. Zeke was the kind of kid who always had crumbs on his shirt. His backpack smelled like old cheese sticks. And if you looked under his bed, don't. You might not make it out alive. Zeke didn't care much about cleaning. Not his room, not his desk, not even his boogers. Yuck. Zeke, his teacher said one day, can you please pick up your juice box? Zeke blinked. What juice box? She pointed, right by his foot. Squished, sticky. Oh, Zeke said, that one. He kicked it under the table. Not very sneaky. After school, Zeke stayed behind to help clean up. Really, he was hiding in the janitor's closet because it was quiet and had a funny smell like soap and old gym socks. That's when he saw it. A mop. But not just any mop. This one was glowing. Soft blue light sparkled off its fuzzy top. The wooden handle had little carvings on it, stars, lightning bolts, a banana. Huh, Zeke said. Zap! The mop shook. Zeke's hair stood straight up. A deep, wobbly voice filled the room. You have been chosen! Zeke jumped back. Me? Yes! You Z. James Fluffinbottom! He blinked. How do you know my middle name? No time to explain. The world needs a hero. A cleaner one. Before Zeke could run, the mop spun around him like a twister. Swirls of light and bubbles filled the air. When it stopped, Zeke was wearing a cape made of grocery bags, gloves made from dish sponges, and a mask shaped like a recycle symbol. He looked in the mirror. Whoa, you are now Captain Clean. The mop struck a heroic pose in the corner. Your first mission, save the playground. Zeke's mouth dropped open. Save it from what? Splinters? From something far worse. The Litterbug Pirates, Zeke swallowed. Oh, bananas. Chapter 2. The next morning, Zeke woke up in his regular pajamas. No cape, no mask, no glowing mop floating over his bed. Huh, he mumbled, scratching his belly. Weird dream. But when he got to school, something felt off. There was a banana peel on the flagpole, cups and candy wrappers were floating in the fountain, and someone had spelled the word stinky in cheese puffs across the front door. Zeke looked around. Did a raccoon party happen here last night? Then he heard it, a deep, echoing laugh. Yar! We made landfall, mateys! A giant pirate ship, yes, a full-size wooden pirate ship, rolled down the street on giant wheels made of stacked pizza boxes. It had sails made of greasy napkins and a flag that read, Mess is best! On the deck stood a group of wild-eyed pirates, each one covered in dirt, jelly, and shredded newspaper. The tallest wore a hat made from an old cereal box. Zeke's mouth dropped open. Is this part of a school play? We are the Litterbug Pirates, shouted their leader, Captain Crudbeard. He held a plunger like a sword. And this town belongs to trash! The other pirates cheered and flung paper plates and soda cans like confetti. Zeke ducked just as a half-eaten sandwich slapped into the wall beside him. He reached into his backpack. No mop. Oh no, he whispered. I'm just plain Zeke again. Suddenly, something furry bumped into his leg. It was a raccoon wearing a tiny tool belt and goggles. You Zeke? She said in a squeaky voice. Zeke blinked. Aren't you talking? Of course I'm talking. I'm Roxy. I specialize in garbage disasters. You're a raccoon. Roxy rolled her eyes. And you're a messy human. Now come on. The town needs you. But I don't have my mop. We'll get it. First, we gotta stop these pickleheads before they cover the school in pudding. Zeke stood up straight. Okay, let's do it. Chapter 3. Zeke and Roxy ran down the sidewalk, dodging puddles of mystery goo and flying globs of spaghetti. Where are we even going? Zeke asked, panting. To the janitor's shed, Roxy shouted, goggles bouncing on her furry head. It's the secret headquarters of Clean Team Green. Clean Team who now? You'll see. They slid around the corner and ducked behind a row of bushes behind the school. Hidden in the trees was a small metal shed covered in ivy and stickers. One sticker said, No trash allowed. Another said, Keep it tidy, kiddo. Roxy knocked 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. The door creaked open. A puff of lavender-scented steam rolled out. Inside stood Miss Bloom, the school janitor. She wore sparkly glasses, a ponytail made from mop strands, and a utility belt full of cleaning gadgets. About time you got here, she said. The town's in deep doo-doo. Zeke waved. Hi, I think I'm Captain Clean, or maybe I just had a weird dream. Miss Bloom smiled and tossed him the mop. It sparkled, it hummed, it gave him a little zap. Zeke grinned. Okay, I'm back. Roxy saluted. Captain Clean reporting for duty. Ms. Bloom handed Roxy a tiny backpack vacuum and tossed Zeke a trash tagger, like a Nerf gun that shot recycling stickers. We're gonna need help, said Zeke. Right you are, said Miss Bloom. That's why I called Annie. From behind a bucket rolled Annie, a quiet girl from Zeke's class. She wore big glasses, carried a notebook full of ideas, and had a tool belt made of duct tape. I built this, she whispered, holding up a shiny box with blinking lights. It's called the Trash Tracker 3000. It can sniff out garbage from 2 blocks away. Zeke blinked. You built that from junk? Annie smiled. One raccoon's trash is another girl's super gadget. The mop floated beside Zeke. The team is complete! They all turned toward a glowing map on the wall. It showed a blinking red dot. The pirates are headed to Pickle Park, said Ms. Bloom. Zeke gulped. That's where I eat my grilled cheese. Not if they cover it in ketchup packets first, said Roxy. Captain Clean raised his mop. Team Green, let's go tidy up some trouble. Chapter 4. Pickle Park was not looking good. The fountain was bubbling with soda. Hot dog buns were stuck in the trees, and the swings covered in spaghetti noodles. Whoa, said Zeke. This is worse than my locker. The Litterbug Pirates had built a huge pile of trash right in the middle of the park. It was shaped like a mountain, with ketchup bottles dripping down the sides like lava. At the top stood Captain Crudbeard, waving his plunger in the air. This is now Mount Trashmore! Let the messing begin! The pirates laughed and rolled around in pudding cups. One pirate was tossing pickles like frisbees. Roxy growled, That's our park! Annie pulled out her Trash Tracker 3000. The trash levels are off the charts. Captain Clean held up his mop. Time for a cleanup smackdown. Ms. Bloom charged in first, swinging her broom nunchucks. Swish! Swoosh! She swept a path through the mess with ninja speed. Roxy zipped around with her mini vacuum. Banana peels! Be gone! Zeke aimed his sticker blaster. Pop, pop recycling labels smacked onto bottles and cans, making them magically hop into the correct bins. Meanwhile, Annie climbed up Mount Trashmore, carefully dodging slimy milk cartons. She reached the top and pulled out a tiny remote. Hope this works. She pressed a big green button. Beep, zap, whirr! Captain Crudbeard's plunger started glowing. What's happening? He yelled. Annie grinned. I rerouted your garbage gadget. It's now a clean machine. Suddenly, Crudbeard's ship began sucking up trash instead of throwing it. The pirates screamed as they were pulled into their own ship by a tornado of tidiness. Foomp! Everything went still. The park was clean. Zeke blinked. Did we win? Roxy gave a raccoon-sized high five. We mopped the floor with them. Chapter 5. Pickle Park was spotless. The trees were green, the grass was clean, and someone had even polished the pickle statue in the middle of the playground. Captain Clean stood proudly with his team, Roxy the raccoon, Miss Bloom the janitor, and Annie the gadget girl. Zeke took a deep breath. It smells like soap and victory. Suddenly, the pirate ship gave a loud clank and lowered a gangplank. Out walked Captain Crudbeard, holding up his plunger like a white flag. All right, he grumbled. Ye cleaned our clocks. We give up. Zeke raised an eyebrow. No more garbage attacks? Crudbeard sighed. We thought making a mess was fun. But no one clapped, no one smiled, and honestly, I sat in a pickle jar. Roxy giggled. You. Annie stepped forward. If you want to fix what you messed up, we could use extra hands. Crudbeard's eyes lit up. You'd let us help? Zeke nodded. Everyone deserves a second chance, even stinky pirates. Miss Bloom handed Crudbeard a broom. Start with the swings. The pirates got to work. Sweeping, scrubbing, sorting, recycling. One even built a tiny compost bin out of pool noodles. Later that day, the whole town gathered for a celebration called Trash to Treasure Day. Kids brought in old boxes, had bottle caps and jars to turn into cool art projects and costumes. Captain Clean stood on stage with a sparkly mic made from a peanut butter jar. I used to think cleaning was boring, he told the crowd, but I learned something important. He looked at his friends, smiling. You don't need a magic mop to be a hero. You just need to care enough to clean up your corner of the world. Everyone cheered. Roxy did a little victory dance. Annie high-fived a pirate. Miss Bloom sipped tea out of a reusable cup. Zeke took off his mask and cape. He looked around. The park was clean, the people were happy, and best of all, he finally threw away that squished juice box.